It's ridiculous with some of these shows.
All right.
Like,
sorry to cut you off, but we
you're
just
fine.
started streaming, so we're live. I am going to click
All right.
recording right now. It's all right. Recording in progress. So I have a feeling I'm going to have to keep this chat open. So what I'm going to do is, Mark, can you start screen sharing?
I can.
Also, Jess, thank you so much for coming and making sure. Guys, Jess is awesome. She's my supervisor. She's the community manager of IGA. She's the most awesome person. All right. I think the screen is still big enough for us to keep the chat open, so I'll keep an eye on chat as well. The only thing is we're not that visible, but I think that is fine. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn, and I hope everyone's having a great day. All right, let's get started, Mark. Thank you so much for coming to Indie Game Academy on this fine Saturday and taking the time out. And thank you so much for doing this lecture as well. It really helps with community engagement. It helps for their IG's goals of like providing accessible education as well, other than our paid programs. So we really do appreciate you taking the time out for this. I'm Hamna. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat. I'm going to be moderating this. We are going to be doing QA in the end. So if you have any questions, just post them in the chat. They're all being recorded. If you are watching this on LinkedIn, just know if you post questions on LinkedIn, I will not be able to see it on my end, but I can see questions on YouTube and from Twitch. So if you have any questions from LinkedIn, feel free to come to Discord to DM us, or feel free to log into this or stream this from YouTube. I'm going to let you take it over, and I'm so happy that this friendship with Unity is moving forward. I met Mike like literally 7 months ago, and that's when all of this started. And this is the first event we've gotten out of months of back and forth, just also to like kind of make sure that I'm doing my job as the head of partnerships as IGA. All right, Mark, I'll let you take over. I'm going to mute myself, and we're live on all platforms.
Sweet. Well, we will make this the first of many. So yeah, Sue, I'm super happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, and sorry it took 6 months or 7 months, whatever. So yeah, we're going to talk about some of the awesome optimization features in Unity 6. I hate slides, but I'm going to show you just a few slides, and we'll dive into the editor. That's me. I'm Mark. I'm in Redondo Beach, California, just outside Los Angeles. LA never, ever looks like that. Like 3-4 times out of the year, you actually see the mountains, but that's where I'm at. So we are going to take a look primarily today at a free tutorial that's out there. It's on the asset store. It is called Fantasy Kingdom. And essentially what this was about a year and a half ago at Unite in Amsterdam, we unveiled Fantasy Kingdom for HDRP. We just wanted to use it to, as we were developing Unity 6, just start to work on some new technologies, and chose this demo scene as the one to do it with. So if you go on YouTube, this is going to play as just a screenshot, but if you go on YouTube and type Fantasy Kingdom in Unity 6, you will get a look at the HDRP version. Super high fidelity, really pushed HDRP and all the new exciting features for that. And once that was finished, we decided we wanted to try to see if we could get the same visual fidelity or close on URP on mobile. And so that's what this demo is going to be. What we did is we stripped out a lot of the interior details on the assets and just kind of cleaned them up a little bit, made them a little bit more efficient, and then just try to see if we could get the same quality on URP. So you can actually download everything I'm going to show you today. You can download from the asset store, and at the very end of the demo, I'll show you how to install it, because it is a bit silly the way you have to install it through the asset store. So I'll show you that, so it's a little more clear. And we'll also take a look at a second project, the new URP sample scene. So I want to show you something in there that just demos a little bit better than in Fantasy Kingdom. So Anyway, with that, I'm going to show you the project because, like I said, I don't like slides. So let me just go here. And this is Fantasy Kingdom. Hopefully you can all see that very well. This is just a wonderful environment. It's got all kinds of little details as you kind of zoom in. Hopefully you can see there's leaves falling, there's butterflies flying around, there's all sorts of wonderful particle effects in this very detailed but stylized kingdom. And if we zoom way up and kind of pan out, we can see we've got a castle here, a castle over there, and a third castle over there. So there's 3 main castles. And this runs really very well on mobile. I'll show you I'll actually show it to you running on my tablet towards the end. And yeah, if you click on here, it's going to give you a little bit of information from where to get the asset store package. You can use this for all the testing that you'd like to do, but if you're going to use it for commercial version, you have to go to the asset store and actually buy the asset. I think it's like $250 or $300 for the very high detailed assets. But if you download the free version, you can use it for all the testing and prototyping and stuff that you feel like. But again, if you're going to use this for commercial, then we ask you to purchase the actual assets from Cinti. So let's talk about features. So I'm going to go into my project settings. And by the way, I can't see any questions you guys are saying right now unless I contort myself and look over this way. So I'm obviously full screen on my laptop. So in case you're wondering why I'm not answering, if you are asking something, I'll do that at the end. So if I go into my project settings under quality, we have these things here. So this is great. This allows us to have in one scene various levels of quality for different platforms. So this could be like in this project, it's set up for desktop low, and then mobile high, medium, and low. This will run just fine under mobile low on an iPhone 6. So we really targeted a low quality, your shadows aren't quite as nice, lighting isn't quite as nice, but it's still very pretty for a iPhone 6, something that old. If I go back to desktop high though, and I click on my render pipeline asset here, this is the parameters for the high-end desktop settings. If I could go to desktop low now, and I double-click this, you can see some of these parameters have changed. So we're going to stick with desktop high at the moment, and just want to show you some of the wonderful, great features. And those are supposed to be turned off by default because I wanted to actually show you turning them on. So just pretend I didn't do that. And if I look over here, first thing I want to show you is the GPU resident drawer. So check this out. I'm going to go to game view. I'm going to turn my stats on, and let's just go to play mode. And I just want to get somewhere where I see a lot of detail on the screen, something like that. All right, so we've got 2,129 batches, 3 million triangles, and 3.9 million vertices. Watch this. I'm going to turn the GPU resident drawer on and watch the number of batches right here. So disabled, I'm going to turn instance drawing on, and we've almost cut our batches in half. So literally just checking that is amazing. This is one of those, why would you not have that on kind of features? And basically what it does is it uses the batch group renderer API to, with GPU instancing, to basically batch a lot of your draw calls together, a lot of your game objects together to speed up your CPU time or your CPU efficiency, and obviously reduce your batches. So super useful, especially on mobile. You'll get a nice performance bump out of that because again, look, we went from 2,000 batches, 2,100 to 1,200. So almost in. So really, really powerful feature, and it's just a checkbox. If I turn GPU occlusion Culling on, watch this. So we've got 3.1 million triangles, 2.9 million verts. If I turn GPU occlusion Culling on, 1 million triangles, 800,000 verts. I mean, that's just crazy just by checking a checkbox, doing a pull down, how much more efficient this scene is. And if I go back to my game view, let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to go to window, analysis, and I'm going to get my render debugger. And I like to park this guy in my UI right there. So just so you know where it comes from. Again, it's in the window, analysis, rendering debugger. And so in here, let's go ahead and go to GPU resident drawer. And I'm going to turn on occlusion test overlay. What this is showing me, I think you can all see that See, this is, I love any sort of visual data, like just some of these debugger modes. So what this is showing me through this color coding is where it's able to do the most of the GPU occlusion. And what that actually means is that if we look behind this tree, there's a whole lot of triangles and geometry. There's a whole piece. But when I go here, we're not effectively drawing those anymore. That's what we're seeing here through this color coding is the most amount of reduction is here with purple, then red is next, and then yellow. So it's just visually showing you where it's able to undraw a lot of those polygons that are just not visible to the camera. So if they're not visible to the camera, then why draw them? So really, really cool. Turn that off, and you can see that's no longer doing anything. Turn it back on, and we go on debug. So very, very cool. It was kind of funny when I was building this demo for the first time. I'm like, I've got these two massive features, and they're just little checkboxes. Like, usually you got a few fun things to show, but that's just too easy for optimization. So anyway, those are two big ones. There's another one here. If I look under my upscaling filter, right now it's set to automatic. So I set this to spatial temporal post-processing, say that 10 times fast. What did it do? It didn't seem to do anything. Well, if I go back to my frequently used and under map overlays, if I change this to STP, which is spatial temporal post-processing, I guess typically it's STPP. If I turn that on, obviously, so I should mention, when you do download this, I just reinstalled, I updated Unity 6 to the latest version, and that also had an updated version of Fantasy Kingdom, and I've added all my shaders completely. Apparently I don't, because we're compiling shaders now, so I apologize. That's really weird because I hadn't tested this before. And it's not sending it to me either. That's strange. Hang on. Edit project settings. Let's make sure I'm on the right. Oh, wait, let me get out of play mode. Hang on. Sorry, guys. There we go. All right, so I was in play mode. I shouldn't have been in play mode. Okay, so what this just did, let me do this again. Let me turn this back to none. Okay, so I turned on spatial temporal, and then here I'm going to go and turn it on as a rendering debug mode. And so what it's doing here is imagine this black square, this black rectangle is a 1080p image because I'm rendering at 1080p. So this whole image is only rendering this portion. So it's a little hard to explain, but watch this. If I lower this resolution, let's get this all the way to like 0.1. Hopefully you can see that, and I can kind of see it. See how it's a little bit flickery right now? Let's go even lower. Let's go to like 0.1. That's the lowest. So what this is doing is it's rendering only this tiny little portion of a 1080p image, and then it's upscaling it using, I don't know if it's an AI or whatever, but it's upscaling it back to 1080p, and it looks like this. Okay, that's pretty awful. You probably wouldn't want to go that low, but like 0.3, there's no flickering, there's no weird aliasing going on. It looks really good, but we're only having to render this small little portion of the full frame, and then it upscales it. So you could have it set for when you're on, your highest quality setting that you're, maybe rendering 0.8, 0.75. I was doing some tests and I couldn't see where I was actually screenshotting same image and reducing it. It wasn't until I got to like 0.5 that I could really notice any pixels that were off. It's incredibly impressive. And especially on mobile, a lot of these optimizations, we don't really see the gains here on our desktop, especially this one with the powerful GPU. But you start putting this on your phone or on some lower end devices, and these really become a big deal. So anyway, I would suggest, set this to like 0.75 for your highest quality setting, or 0.8, whatever. And then for your lower settings, have it lower until it doesn't, look any good. You could make this a user definable parameter where they can set that themselves. It's very similar to like DLSS or any of those upscalers, but this one just works on all platforms right there inside of Unity. So good stuff there. Yeah, that's the spatial temporal post-processing. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And let's see, what's the next thing I want to show you? Let's talk about the render pass debugger. So if we go back up to analysis and we go to our render graph viewer, I said debugger, but I meant viewer. That's this guy right here. So what this is showing you, the top here, this contains the render passes in the order that URP executes them. So every frame, those all get executed in order. These are the resources that are used per frame. So per frame, it checks these and then executes them that way. Here you can see in red is where we're writing to the resource, and in green, we're reading to the resource. And what this lets you do is really just clearly see the order of all of your different effects, everything that you have going on in your in the way that the screen debugger works. So in fact, if I go and get the screen debugger, rendering analysis, frame debugger, excuse me, woke up not feeling all that great this morning, so apologize for the hacking. Check this out. So if we look here and start to step through this, this is how your frame gets drawn. These are all the things that get executed. And if you look here, all of these things here are the same things up here. So you can step through them, and then you can see what all these different passes are doing. So this is just kind of, this has been around forever, your frame debugger, but now you actually can see the render graph debugger on how that's actually working. And what this allows you to do is there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I haven't spent enough time on this as I should. I'm going to dive more into this later, but if you look here, there's some other neat little bits going on. See these little blue lines? What that means is that it was able to merge these 4 passes into one pass. And it does that all automatically. You'll notice here there's a gap. So we've got these 2 that were together, then we got this copy color, and then we've got these 4 that are together. So I did a little bit of investigating. And what I found out is that these are all of our opaque passes. But when we get to here, it's where basically we're going to start to draw transparent objects, draw UI elements. And so because of this little checkbox right here, opaque textures, it's inserting this copy color pass. If I uncheck this, because I don't have any UI, I don't have anything after that, I can uncheck this. And look what happened. It got rid of that copy color, and now all 6 of these passes are merged. So if you're not using some of the transparencies or some of that UI stuff, you can just turn that off. And if you don't see any difference, great. If you like to code, which I don't, if you click on this little sharp sign underneath any one of these passes, it will open up your IDE here, and you can go ahead and maybe modify the code yourself. Maybe there's a way that you can optimize that pass if you kind of know what you're doing. Last thing I can show you is if I click on copy depth, I can click on it here. And what it'll do is it's going to tell me exactly what's going on in that pass. And I can see that it's generating me a 671 by 377 image. If I go to the next one, look, it's 1343. So that's why these can't be merged, is because they're generating 2 different sized images. So pretty cool that you can kind of see how all this stuff works. Each one of these will give you some info on what it's doing, how it's doing it, whether it can be merged, why it can't be merged. And, really when you kind of get to, your final debugging of your, before you ship your game, you can really get some nice performance increases here once you get a better understanding of how this guy works. So definitely some good stuff there. Let's take a look at some other kind of performance stuff. I'm going to type in waterfall or water wheel. Sorry, not water. There we go. And we've got, let's go back to scene view. Inside of our little scene here, we've got a bunch of particle effects going on. So each castle has its own water wheel, and each water wheel has a river or some type of a flowing, a river, flowing water. And then we've got our particle effects here. So just want to show you a nice little visualization that was done to our particle engine. So if I go ahead and click on edit, this is going to open up the VFX graph, which is of course where we make all of our wonderful VFXs, our particle effects. And we can see if I click this little new icon here, the little bug, that's going to give me some performance info. It's going to tell me a lot of stuff about what the particles are doing. Now I'm not in play mode, so I'm not seeing any of that. So let's go back to our scene view. Let's enter play mode. And if I go back to my water wheel, you can see potency. So it's telling me I've got 148 particles. It's taking up 14K of memory and using. And let's go and make this. Oops, let's not leave that. Let's make this like 1 million particles. There we go. 1 million. That's better. And so now we've got a very unrealistic particle effect. However, if I go back in here, I now can see that, hey, we've got almost 1 million particles on the screen, take a bit more memory, bit more execution time as one would expect. And yeah, just a nice little update there for for performance, for just seeing where your particle effects are, how much resources they're taking, and the execution time. Obviously, both effects in this scene are a little bit little basic, so not too much there. But for some of these more complicated effects, definitely a nice thing to have. Let's put this back at what it was, because that looks a bit ridiculous, but it shows the point. Cool. So some other neat things as far as checking out execution times and things like that. Let's select this water, and let's maybe not select it like that. What did I just do there? Let's type it in here. Let's go. I'm looking for the waterfall mesh. There we go. So we got our 3 waterfall meshes. Here's this one. There's this one. And then there's this one. Well, let's use this one. I like this one's got this kind of, the water is a bit more exciting looking. So if we go ahead and edit the shader for that, so obviously I've got it selected, and I click on edit shader. This is going to bring up our shader graph and all of our little animating nodes right there. And what is new here is if I click on my color mode, I can turn on heat map. And so now you can see through the shader graph, you can see these little color codings, which tell you the execution time of each one of those nodes. You can alter these colors if you go into the preferences. And I believe in 6.1, there's going to be numerical values in there. So like actually the more like a millisecond or something like that. But for now, you can tell that these darker red ones are taking longer to execute than the orange ones. And there you go. So just another little improvement to help you tune your shaders and get all that working nicely. I do like to see all the little animations in there, just sort of visually pleasing. So good stuff there. Let's go ahead and close these up. Discard that. Get rid of this. And all right. So let's see. What else can I tell you about? I'm going to grab my tablet here, and kind of bummed. I usually have a little HDMI capture device that I can actually show this to you on my screen, but it doesn't work. It's not working today. So I'm just gonna have to hold up my screen. So hopefully you can see this. If you can see me, I don't know if you can see me. You guys even see me? If you can, there's Fantasy Kingdom running. And what's cool here is if you take your...
I am sharing and recording your Unity tab only. Do you want me to click on you real quick?
Yeah, click on me really quick.
It's blurry. You're gonna have to turn the...
It is very blurry. Oh, yeah. I got it. That's a dumb filter.
Yeah, it's the background blur filter. Close enough?
All right, whatever. You can see it. If you take your 3 fingers and you tap twice on the screen, you get all your performance stats coming up. Gosh darn it. Well, this just bombed horribly. All right, whatever. So make a build of Fantasy Kingdom. And if you do, you have to do one thing in the editor. So let's go back to the editor window real quick. Sorry, I totally bombed on that one.
No, don't worry about it.
Let's go, if we go to our build settings, I'm looking for file, build settings, build profiles. No, sorry, where is that? It's not, where is that? Oh, why is it ghosted now? Oh no. Ah, shoot. So I mentioned a little while ago that I upgraded to the latest version of Unity and downloaded a new Fantasy Kingdom. I did not install my Android developers options, obviously. If I had, there's a checkbox for developer build. If you click developer build, it will add those performance things. And so just to clarify really quick there, had I installed my Android build options, one of the options is to do a development build. And if you do a development build, you take your 3 fingers, tap twice inside while you're running on your tablet or your phone, and a bunch of performance things will pop up. So you can see your frame rate, you can see memory, and there's a whole bunch of options and menus in there. So dive into that. A lot of folks haven't seen that yet, and gosh darn it, I'm a big dummy. Oh well, the one thing I didn't look at is, anyway, whatever. Development build, show you some good stuff. 3 fingers, double tap on your tablet to bring it up, and it'll work on any build that you do. The build's a little bit heavier because it's going to include a bunch of shaders for some debugging views that you can also tab through, but I can't really show you that because it's all obviously blurry with my filter, and I could turn that off, but then I'd be fumbling through more menus. So just trust me, it works and it's good. So anyway, all right. So this was Fantasy Kingdom. You can get on the asset store. I will show you a little bit later the install process in case you want to try it, because it's not super straightforward or intuitive, but it's not too painful either. But I want to show you one more thing. So I'm going to leave Fantasy Kingdom, and I'm going to go into the new URP sample project. If you haven't messed around with this, definitely give this a whirl. I'll show you where to install this from as well. But this is kind of the Japanese garden. There's 4 different environments that you can mess around with. And yeah, this is the Japanese garden. And what I want to show you on here are the new adaptive probe volumes. So we can use them in Fantasy Kingdom, but there's only one light source in Fantasy Kingdom, so it just doesn't really do it justice. So check this out. Let's go to my root here, and let's open up lighting. And let's go to our light probe groups. Let's go to my scene view and just sort of open this up. I don't know if you guys can hear the dog barking this direction and the person with the chainsaw doing something up that direction. Very, very enjoyable on my end. So anyway, these are the light groups, the light probes. So light probes are great. The only bummer is you have to place all of these yourself. So it's it's manually intensive. They do a great job, but they're a little bit old school. So we've got something better now for you to bake your lighting, and that's adaptive probe volumes. And so what I'll do is I will just click on the little plus sign here, and I will type in lighting. I'm not going to type anything. I'm just going to push light, and then I'm going to tell it I want a new adaptive probe volume. And I click on that, and it puts this little box right there somewhere in my scene. I think it actually puts it below the world. So it puts it there. And this is where it's going to put all of my light probes, which obviously doesn't make any sense because that's not anywhere near the scene. So let's fix that. Well, the first thing it says is, hey, the current URP asset does not support adaptive probe volumes. Okay, so I could click open here, or close that up, or go back to project settings, click on my render pipeline asset, and you're going to get the same menu. Excuse me. So right here, we can see that the light probe system that we're using are light probe groups. I'm going to change this to adaptive probe volumes, like so. Okay, so now we've switched to lighting solver. And now if I go and select my probe volume, it's going to say, hey, it hasn't been baked yet. They're not there. All right, so let's fix that. First, I need to fix, where it's going to place the probes. So I could fit it to all of the scenes. If I've got multiple scenes in this environment, I could say fit it just to this scene or fit it to a selection. So I'm going to pin this right now. Click that to pin it, select the tree. And now if I say fit to selection, it's now increased the size of those box. You can see the little green dots there. So it's just, let me center up, frame up on that. So now it's just going to generate the probes around the tree, but I want it to be the entire scene. So I'll say fit to scene, and there you go. And so if I back up, this box is where it's going to put all of those light probes. Now it's going to put them, they're going to be more dense where there's geometry. As there's less geometry, lesser triangles, it's going to put less probes. And it's going to use these 4 values to space them. This will make a lot more sense after I bake it. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to click bake. And something that I generally never do is bake lighting in a demo, but these are really fast. So I bet if I just take a sip of water here, I made a loud sip for effect.
I didn't hear.
Yeah,
did not hear your loud sip. I bet we could do a louder sip, but we'll save the audience.
All right, so we're done. Yay, we baked our lights. So nothing happened. I mean, nothing magically happened right there, but watch this. If I go into my probe volume setting here, and I'm going to click on display cells and display bricks. So now we can see where it's going to place all the probes. So where we have a lot of dense geometry, we're going to put the probes 1 meter apart. Where there's lesser geometry, 3 meters. Where there's not a lot of geometry, 9. And where there's almost none, we're going to use 27. And those you can override here if you want. But it just basically did all of that automatically. So I told the probe volume to be the entire scene. I baked the lights. It solved the position for all those probes like that. And the easiest way to see that is to just say display probes. And now, let me unselect that, zoom in a bit. And now you can start to see all those little dots that we're zooming into. These are all of the probes that we just created. Check that out. And so each one of these probes is going to show you what an object would look like if it was in that spot, what type of lighting it would get. So if you have a little spaceship right here, it's going to receive that lighting from the probe. And a really neat thing that you can do here then is if I go here, this is kind of a nice place to look at this. Let's go and do a couple things. Make sure that's locked. Great. Let's turn on material override. Nope, lighting. I want to see just my global illumination. Perfect. So this is the lighting that was created from the probe volumes. That's what we're seeing on the screen right now. If I go and switch back to the old method, watch this. Let's go to our project settings and click on this guy. Let's keep that pinned so I get a new one. Oh, maybe not. Let's unpin that. Okay, perfect. So if I go and switch from probe volumes to light probes, we can see what we had before. So there's a lot more shading, I guess you could call it. If you look at the light probe, they're a bit more flat. If you look like the top of each leaf, it's a bit more flat. Whereas the probe volumes, we see a nice gradient, kind of a color there. So that's going to give you a lot more believable light. And it's faster. You just make these probe volumes and bam, you're done. And this is really cool too. If I close, what are we on here? We're on probe volumes, good. I can go to my probe volume and there's this thing here, debug probe sampling. Watch this. If I turn that on, now I can click this little select pixel button. And now wherever I move my mouse, whatever pixel it's on, it's going to show me what probe is contributing what to it. So for that, it's moving. You can see a little vector moving because that's animating. If I go to something that's not animating, there. So it's showing me the 4 probes that are affecting that pixel are the ones that it's showing me in numerical value what the contribution is. If I move to the bottom here to the floor, you can see that there's probes underneath the ground which are black because they're not getting any light, and so they're contributing nothing. But it's the ones above them where we're getting that. And as I move further back, it'll boop pop to the next probe, then boop pop to the next probe, and so forth. And so really easy to set up your lighting. They're fast, and geez, they're just a wonderful solution. So good stuff there. Let's go back to material or lighting. I always get that confused. There we go. And I can see that with all the lighting glory on as well. So cool, good stuff. Probe volume, let's go ahead and turn that guy off. And sample probe, there we go. Cool. What else can I show you in here? Let's go back to here.
Sorry, Mark. I think there's some in the chat. Someone said they can't hear. Can everyone hear us? Several people are typing. Okay. Everyone can hear us. Thank you. Sorry, I wanted to do a check real quick because the chat was popping and I was like, okay, why can people not hear us? All right. Sorry for the interruption. Continue.
Perfect. No worries. So last thing I wanted to show you is let's go to material and let's go to lighting complexity. So this is a new view that a lot of people don't know about. This is showing you the number of lights that each one of these squares is using, is receiving, or how do you say that? So because you need to see a value there, and it would be a per pixel thing. You can't put an image of you can't put a number 3 on top of a single pixel. So it just uses a square quadrant, and it says that there's 3 lights that are affecting that square. And what's nice here is if we go back to our edit project settings and we click on our quality and then go to the renderer, this is where I can change between the new forward plus, forward, and deferred. So if you don't know, forward plus is new, and forward plus is basically gives you all of the power of deferred, which deferred allowed you to have basically as many light sources as you wanted to, but not nearly as efficient as forward. Whereas forward, I believe it's each game object can have 8 light sources affected, and that's it. It's something like that. But basically, forward is faster with less lights. Deferred is slower, but gives you way more lights. Well, now forward plus is basically like the 2 of these combined. And what's cool here is you can switch just to see the difference. So with forward, you can see we use a lot more lights to get the same graphical look as forward plus. So I don't know why you use forward anymore. Forward plus is much better. And then if you want to visualize that, you can just click on in your render debugger material, lighting complexity, turn that on, and you'll see those wonderful little cubes. I guess the last thing I'll show you, just if you haven't seen the new URP sample scene, let's go here to our scenes. You basically start off in the terminal, and let's do this. Start in the terminal. So the new URP sample scene, you get it as a new project, and I'm just going to go to play mode. Well, I knew I should have tested this. I haven't compiled any of these shaders. Whoops. So yeah, so this is the terminal, and each there's 4 different places you can go to. So in the main terminal, this is great for look dev. So if you want to drop an object here in the center of your world, I don't know why it's rendering so kind of blurry. That's really strange. And then if you go here, we've got the Japanese garden where we just were. We've got the oasis, which is this. Oh, sorry. Where's the oasis? Oh, I got spun around. That's the Japanese garden. This is the oasis, which is like this desert environment. And then this is a cartoon shaded VR experience. So these are really just for you to check out the new URP sample scene. If you go to tutorials, it's going to have a bunch of tutorials here on the side that you can go through to teach you some of the new stuff that's in here. Highly recommend you check this out and enjoy the new wonders of that. So let me show you real quick how to install both of these, and then we can dive into some questions. So if I go to my go back to slides real quick. So if you want to install Fantasy Kingdom, go to the asset store and just type in Fantasy Kingdom, and it should come up. And then you're going to want to make a new project or open an existing project that you have. Either way, if you're going to make a new project, the fastest way of making a new project is to just do a built-in core renderer. That's going to be the quickest to load. Hit create project. It's going to create a new project for you, give it a name, whatever. And then you're going to be greeted to a blank Unity scene. Go back to the asset store, click on add to my asset. It's going to say open in the Unity editor, hit yes. And then you're going to go back to the Unity editor, and it's going to bring you into package manager. And from here, click on import 1.0 to project. And then after that, it's going to prompt you to either import it or switch projects. If you import it, it's going to import a bunch of stuff into your existing project. Believe it or not, and this is where the workflow is kind of dumb. I wouldn't do this. I would click switch projects, which is going to make you a new one with all the latest URP stuff in it. It's just going to be the fastest way of doing it. And then once you hit switch project, it's going to close this project down. It's going to launch a brand new project. And that's it. And then you can mess around with it. And when you go file exit, it's going to ask you to save it into a new directory, because by default, it's going to put it into your username, temp, whatever directory, and it's hard to find. So just make sure after you click switch projects, you exit the project, and then it'll prompt you for a path to save it to. And there you go. So then you're greeted to this, and there you go. So Fantasy Kingdom is a little bit trickier. If I go to my Unity Hub to install the other project, the URP sample scene, basically go to add project, new project, add project, new project. And then you're going to go to sample, and you want this one, universal 3D sample. Excuse me again. And you'll see that we've got the 4 scenes that I was telling you about, and then click download template, and it'll download it and launch it, and you can mess around with it. I'm seeing a lot of people use this on Reddit and on some of the other places I poke around, doing testing with it. So definitely check out, if you're interested in URP, definitely check this out. The tutorials are great. The 4 scenes are really nice as well, and just has a bunch of nice stuff there. So anyway, with that sort of ends my presentation part of that. So I'm going to close this up. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And there you go. What'd y'all think?
All right, opening chat. Ooh, someone said, don't forget then to clean up the first project that you don't need. Interesting.
Oh yeah, exactly. Just delete it. If you don't want to make a new project, if you've used Unity before, just go into one of your existing projects. Just have Unity open to that project and then do the switch.
Okay, I'm gonna go through the chat real quick now. I'll take a moment to breathe, and I'm gonna see if there's any questions posted because I wasn't able to look at it while you were sharing screen. All right, let's see. Very active chat. You guys did a great job. And a bunch of you helped me too. I'm playing games such as Marvel Rivals. You guys, if you have any questions on YouTube, on Twitch, on LinkedIn, you're welcome to post it now. Mark will be answering questions now. A bunch of people are talking about GDC. Cool view, voice. What else? Let's see. Interesting.
So, I believe since the light probes are already baked, that it's baking just the probe data, not the lighting itself. But that being said, it's really fast. It's so it may have actually baked the lighting when it did that.
The second question is for the heat map. Are the values relative, or is there a setting for high/low usage?
Can't fool anybody on this chat. So you know what? It's not. That's where it's going to get fixed in 6.1, because right now it's pretty arbitrary. It takes your highest, your lowest performing node and your highest performing node, and that's what it uses as the blend. So it would be nice if that was fixed. You can go into the settings and you can see what those values are, but that's going to get a little bit more work done to it for the next one.
The same person, Polygon, said, for a full light bake, it typically takes a lot longer. I use an asset called Bakery to get really detailed light bakes quickly and easily.
With adaptive probe volumes, or with? Kind of curious.
They said traditional light baking.
Well, definitely give the probe volumes a whirl.
Interesting. I'm learning a lot myself. I made all my games in Unity when I was an indie game dev. Right now I do indie partnerships and community, but when I was a dev, Unity was pretty much my bread and butter. All right, Agent Smith, what an interesting name. A lot of the graphics and lighting stuff you went a little over my head. What's a good place to start going in depth on graphics and lighting in Unity?
Yeah, I try to make this a little bit easier and not quite so over your head, because it really can get over your head quick. So my recommendation is a couple things. Obviously YouTube, there's a ton of stuff out there, but also Unity Learn, just unity.com/learn. A lot of people don't know that there is so much awesome stuff in there. There's actually some white papers, some blogs specifically on AVPs. No, AVPs, that's a Vision Pro. Where's mine? APVs. So yeah, all that stuff is, there's a lot. Yeah, there you go. Post for Unity Learn. Lots of great stuff in there. Yes, all of these features, Roberto, you were asking if they're all available now. Yep, everything that I showed today is the latest and greatest. I think I'm on the .40, 6.0.40F. Wow. So yeah, if you grab that build, It's going to have. I'm really proud of Unity 6, by the way. I'm not. I do a lot of. I'm on the forums quite a bit. I'm on Reddit quite a bit, and I just see everybody's really happy with the stability of Unity 6. It's we've had some pretty big changes here at Unity, and our new CEO is his whole deal is Unity 6 has to be the most stable version we've ever shipped, and that's our commitment, and it's definitely showing. I'm just seeing nothing but great stability comments. So
76 Joe Fox is asking, do any of these optimizations apply to prior versions, 2019 to present?
No, everything I showed today I believe everything I showed today is new for Unity 6. And since there's no runtime fee anymore, there's no reason not to use Unity 6. It's the most stable, most powerful. Yeah.
All right. Next up is Roberto. They're saying, does lowering the graphics and rendering settings of the game lower the amount of space and memory the game takes while running?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm going to say I don't think so, because these optimizations are optimizing on top of the already data that's loaded, but I could be wrong on that. I don't think so, though. I know you get better GPU performance, better CPU performance with some of those checkbox optimizations, but I believe your memory footprint is still the same. If you shoot me an email to Mark S, or any of you, MARKS @unity.com, I can do some follow-up and double check some of these.
I'll post your email in the chat in case anyone does want to contact you. Also, since we are cross streaming, someone on LinkedIn named Swami Gatas said, I used to love your presentations back in the soft image days, Mark. Good to hear you're still in the fight.
I am still in the fight. Yes. Those are the good old days. Good old Softimage. That was, for those of you who don't know, Softimage was one of the big 3D animation packages back in the day when there was Max Maya and Softimage, and Soft made Jurassic Park. And when I saw Terminator 2, watched the guy turn to liquid metal, that was when I knew I wanted to do 3D animation for a career. And that was all done with Softimage. And 2 years later, I was working for them, and stayed right up until the very last day when Autodesk decided that they're going to kill it. So anyway,
wow.
So then I moved to Unity, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful time at Unity, and Autodesk is now fully engaged with Maya. But it's a shame because competition in these smaller industries is so important. We having Unreal as our competition makes us so much better. It makes Unreal so much better, and it's all for the benefit of you guys. When you start to see, not to dog Autodesk, but by having all three of those packages, they didn't need to develop as much, and you can kind of see how Blender is taken off when you're just left with unchecked competition. So competition is great, and love that we have a great competitor with Unreal and Godot and others. Just keeps us on our toes and keeps our development team strong, and there you go. There are literally thousands of engineers at Unity that work on the source code every single day. It's pretty impressive.
That's really cool. That is really cool. I heard that for the first time when I met Mike and Matthew at a Unity meetup in New York City at Urban Arts.
Nice.
They mentioned how much effort it actually takes every day to update things and update the source code and update tiny things that you think are just really problematic for you. So yeah,
I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty. Sorry, I thought it was. But you just said Matt. Matt's the CEO. I just thought it was pretty awesome that he went to a user group. That's he's a gamer. He's one of us. So pretty cool.
And that was last year too. That's actually the first time I met anyone IRL from Unity, and everyone was super kind. And this is actually as a result of that. So I'm pretty happy. I mean. And it does.
Well, I have to go to. Oh,
sorry, go ahead. I was actually.
Well, I was gonna say I gotta go to Dublin. You said go ahead. I'll shut up now.
No. I was just going to say, I would love to wrap up unless there's more questions. You guys are welcome to ask us, ask Mark. And Mark, I did post your email address in the chat. If there's nothing else, I would like to call it a day. And you guys, this stream was being recorded, so it's going to be posted on Indie Game Academy's YouTube channel. All our free resources are over there. Please head over and check them out. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up. Thank you so much, Mark, for showing up. This was wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having us. I'm going to be in New York, I think, in about 2 months. So hopefully I'll get to meet you in person and at a user group or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, thank you all for attending on a Saturday. That's awesome. I'm going to go race slot cars now.
All right.
Exciting.
Thank you so much, guys. Happy game deving. Bye.
See y'all. Thank you all. Bye.